Welcome to another afternoon with the Voice of Rio Grande. It's a really exciting time here on campus. We are in the 11th day of classes. A lot is going on campus. The parking lots are full, the classrooms are bustling, the cafeteria has lines at times, but it's really a great time to be on campus. The weather has been friendly to us as we started the semester, and the students seem to be off to a great start. And so we have a lot to celebrate. Our athletics programs are in full swing. Our men's and women's soccer teams have started their seasons, as has volleyball. Many of you know that our men's soccer team were the national champions this last year, and we're hoping for a repeat there, and they are currently undefeated, and a lot of great things going on with our building of our women's team, and then our volleyball team is doing well as well. So a lot of things going on here on campus. We have a new student convocation next week. It's in cooperation with our Founders Day celebration, and those are really important times to reflect on our campus and to think about our past and what that means for our present and our future. So many good things to come on for a wonderful semester. One of the things that is really unique and special about the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College is exactly what you hear in that name, and it's this combination of a private university and a public community college, and it's something that we eat, sleep, and breathe around here and think is just normal. And in fact, it's not extremely normal. It's not typical, and it's extremely special. And that merger of the university and the community college to offer an important educational mission to this area, to students beyond this region, from around the world, and to really make an impact in education and helping students move forward in their lives in very meaningful ways is a result of that important merger. And today I have two excellent and wonderful friends here as our guests. I'd like to welcome John Jones. He is the president of Milton Bank, and Tom Wiseman, president and CEO of Ohio Valley Bank. And both of you guys have been friends and supporters in kind of heart, mind, and everything else, spirit, to Rio. And it's just wonderful to have you both here and to talk about some things that have been going on in your world that are pretty transformational and phenomenal. So thank you for being here. Really happy to have you.
Well, thank you for having us. You mentioned that it was an exciting time for Rio Grande, and it's certainly an exciting time for Ohio Valley Bank and Milton Bank. The opportunity to put two community banks together is, in some cases a once in a career thing to do. So
right.
We've been really excited and gotten along well. And
good.
Ready to go forward.
Well, before we talk much about the merger, and there are a lot of things on my list, and the viewers will know that I've spoken with both of you, but we haven't gotten into a lot of the details about the merger, so I'm really excited to learn this, just as our listeners and our viewers do today. But before we start that, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? John, why don't you start for us, and just a little bit about what you do and what's important in your world.
Well, I just looked on the way down here. 7 days from now will be my banking anniversary. I started working at the Milton Bank September 16th, 1971. And I always say, if I don't look out, it'll be a career. I'm one of those people that banking found me more than I found banking. But it's been wonderful, and particularly at this time, because as I'm getting close to the end of my career, we're able to merge with another bank of very, very similar circumstances, and that makes me thrilled that our customers are going to get the same great service moving on.
That's great. Tom, what about you?
Well, I traveled a little different path to the banking business. I've been a lifelong resident of Gallia County and went away to school to become an insurance agent and did that. Got on the bank board in '92, and as things turned out in 2010, I came over full time and have been there since.
That's the rest of the story, right?
It's well,
Well,
hopefully there's a little more to add.
That's right. Well, I think part of the rest of this story, and as you think about careers, and as you said, there may be people that spend lifelong careers in banking and never involved in what you guys have been involved in. So, today we want to talk about the recent merger between Ohio Valley Bank and Milton Bank. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about the steps that you had to complete along the way. Now, we only have 30 minutes, so
Well,
take your
we
best shot.
probably could have done it in 30 minutes if it had left up to John and I. But as we talked a little bit off camera, it's not that hard a process for two companies to get together, to agree on what you want to be and how to go forward. Unfortunately, since we're in such a highly regulated business, banking, and the fact that Ohio Valley Bank is a SEC registrant and publicly traded, that just complicated the whole thing. So we started 3 years ago with our initial talks, and there's a set process you do go through. In fact, we had a 7 or 8 page document that listed all the steps you have to complete. But when you get down to the basics, once we had privately met and determined what we wanted to do, Ohio Valley Bank had to put together what's called an indication of interest, which is just a written document outlining everything that we'd already agreed to. John's board has to vote on that and come back to us. Well, then you go to your regulators and file application for regulatory approval. And that's a rather long process, and it's back and forth. They'll have plenty of questions. And as you get down, once you get their approval, then you can move towards close.
Okay.
And really, once we got the approval, it was pretty quick to close,
Right.
which limits your time to get people trained.
Yeah, it starts moving on a fast track at that point, huh? Hurry up and wait.
It sure does.
And
It becomes real.
Yes, yes. Well, it sounds like, you think about something in theory that maybe something like this is kind of in a stuffy boardroom and there's just a lot of kind of hands off and you're kind of speaking in code and things like that. But can you talk a little bit more about like what that process is really like?
I always tell everyone what we do is not rocket science. A lot of people think it is, but it really isn't. And it's all about people, and it's all about values, and it's all about how you put those things together. And yes, we do have board meetings, and we have boards of directors that pass resolutions for this and that. But really, it boils down to people like Tom and I and Jeff Smith sitting down together and getting things done.
Right.
I guess one of the most interesting things to me is when we finally got to the point that we were going to actually sign some papers. Tom calls and he says, "Okay, John, where can we meet?" He drove from Gallipolis, came to my house. We sat down at my dining room table and signed the paperwork there.
Right.
Just the two of us.
Yeah,
Wow.
just the two of us
Yes.
after probably almost 2 years of discussion at that point. So, it really wasn't in an ivory tower, it wasn't
Right.
in a boardroom somewhere, it was on a dining room table in Jackson, Ohio.
Much to the chagrin of our legal counsel.
Right,
I think they would have
exactly.
liked to have us come to Cincinnati.
Just wasn't going to happen that way.
No.
Well, I guess it was August 5th that these two community banks merged officially. Tell me a little bit about, you were mentioning the training, you're moving to close and that training period that has to happen. Can you talk a little bit about the integration of the organizations? Because it's one thing to say how that happens and it looks on paper, but really the integration is somewhat a different story.
Well, in a perfect world, you'd have plenty of time to get everybody trained so that when you when we closed on Friday and opened on Monday as a merged organization,
Right.
everybody be ready to go.
Right.
Because of the regulatory process, that time frame shrinks as you go forward, so you have to cram a lot of things into a very short period of time. We had a lot of people that went to work on Friday, worked really throughout the weekend. I think 770 some hours combined to get this thing ready to open up Monday morning. And everything's not fixed Monday morning.
No.
But we are able to open, we're able to greet our customers. Now the process begins of mingling the two organizations together so that we can operate as one, and do so in such a way that it doesn't interrupt the flow of business and our customer care.
Right, right. Well, and that seems like something that is a particular challenge, that organizations have their own systems they work within. I know for us, all of the data that we collect on students and applicants and all of these things, you know, we do that a little differently than Ohio University does, or Shawnee, or Ohio State. And if we try to merge with one of those now, then bringing those systems together that are so important for our work and for our customers, who are our students and our public, that's a challenge. How did you guys handle that?
Well, we're still handling it.
Yeah, right.
It's only been a month, and you're absolutely right. Ohio Valley had roughly 250 employees, and we had about 50. So after the merger was done, it was the same as if Ohio Valley had gone out and hired 50 brand new people. And they have all of the paperwork to do, they have all of the HR things to do. And even though we're both banks, we both take deposits, we have checking accounts and all of those things. As you related with colleges, you know, you all educate people, but you do it in a little different manner.
Right.
And of course, everyone thinks that their way is the best way. So it takes all of us a little while to work together to sort through those things, and it's a process.
Yeah.
You know, there was an amazing amount of work done over that one weekend, which, by the way, the other interesting point was the day that we opened as a combined bank was August the 8th, which was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday,
So that
right?
so that was my birthday present, I guess. But
wow.
it's a process, a good one.
And we did have a team of 15, 20 people maybe that had been working right up until that point.
Right, for the transition. Yeah. So from a customer standpoint, what is this like for a Milton banking company, you know, customer? Can they go to any Ohio Valley bank now and do business, any location, and vice versa? How does that work for the customers?
You know, that's one of the great benefits. You know, the customers, any time that you're dealing with the customer and their money, that's really important. And now they have, well, there are 19 offices total. And Milton only had 5 to start with, but at the same time, Ohio Valley customers can now go to the Milton offices and transact any business that they want to. There have been some amazing improvements in what we, as a smaller bank, can offer our customer.
That's really neat, and I can't have this conversation without thinking of so many of the parallels with what we do here. And I think about our mission from the community college standpoint of accessibility, and having classes and access for students in MacArthur, in Benton County, in Jackson, in Meigs County, in Pomeroy, and having the main campus, and just being accessible. It's just that convenience factor and meeting people where they are. It just, you know, it adds really an important component about who you are and how you want to interact with your public and your customers. Did you close any offices, or did you have to lay off any employees or anything like that in this process?
No, and we're proud of that.
Yeah.
That was one of the things going into this to begin with that we agreed on. Unfortunately, we've watched other financial institutions come in and merge where they don't do that, and they do get rid of a lot of people, and they do close offices. We didn't want to send that message. We want people to understand that we're doing this because we want to be a better community bank together. And you can't do that if you go in and shut down an office.
Right. It doesn't help the community a whole lot in that way, does it? Because it impacts. I mean, any little change that you make, we find that out here too. As we've looked at changes and things, even since I've been here over the last 2 years, we've been very conscious of the fact that we want to take care of the families and the employees that work here and support the institution so that we can take care of our students. And I think you guys are just kind of singing from that same songbook with what you do.
Oh, we are. And, you know, in general, people don't like change.
Right.
You know, They would rather things stay the same. So sometimes you need to give them a little nudge and say, look at this and check out this new service we have or what we can do for you.
Right. Well, John, you mentioned the benefits that you've seen for your customers. And as you think about the technology, some of those components of mobile deposit and cashback rewards in checking and text message banking and those kinds of things, what kind of impact are you seeing in feedback? Like you said, people are sometimes hesitant to embrace change, but when they see some of these features, it changes their minds. They all of a sudden get excited. I mean, have you seen that?
It does. Just this morning, I deposited a check by taking a picture of it, which is amazing to me. You know, the size bank that we were, about $140 million, we had a lot of good technology, and we had a website and all those kind of things, but we couldn't offer a mobile app.
Right.
There's probably here at the university, every student here probably has a checking account, but I'll bet almost none of them have checks.
Right.
And they use debit cards and they use mobile apps and things like that. And you know, in many cases, in our area, in Jackson County, we need to spend time to kind of hands-on show people, look at this and see what you can do. I know it's a real treat for me. I'll be at a ball game and say, look, let me show you how this works.
Right. It's really cool. Well, goodness, thinking about all these things that have changed and kind of this new day for your organizations, what hasn't changed? I'm trying to think what's left.
I think the most important thing that hasn't changed is we're two community banks with a community first vision. And we believe that. We think it has served our banks well individually and now together. And we want to be the difference maker in all the communities that we're in.
So what do you see as, you're a month into this merger, what do you see as the biggest challenges, maybe some of the unexpected challenges, or what do you see tackling in the next phase of this early process?
Well, I think the challenges center around training because we weren't allowed to have enough real time, in our opinion, to do the training necessary. But still, you're going to have situations that arise on a daily basis that you need to address. You know, something as simple as who's going to write a check and who can write a check.
Right.
And how much can they write a check for? You know, those are all very simple things, but at one point in the day, it becomes an issue.
Right. They have to be defined.
Yeah, I don't know that we've really seen anything that is extraordinarily unusual. I think that we probably anticipated pretty much what we're seeing at this point.
That's good. That's really good. That's comforting. That
It
there
is.
weren't a lot of surprises, but
It
you're ready
is.
to tackle the challenges that come up.
And I should tell you, the slogan that the Milton Banking Company had used was hometown banking at its best. So transitioning to community first is so
natural.
easy for us. It's natural because both of our banks, it's amazing. Ohio Valley obviously was a much larger bank than we are, but we do the same things. We treat our communities the same. You know, we live here, and that's why we do what we do.
So it's one of those marriages that makes sense, right?
But we think so.
We
Yeah.
certainly think so.
Well, to shift gears a little bit, I want to come back to the merger and the community banking world. But before we do, maybe tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about your own leadership styles. And, you know, that because as you bring these organizations together, your leadership of those influences the employees and the culture and all those things. So maybe tell us a little bit about that so we can get a picture of the landscape here from a leadership standpoint.
Well, we haven't worked with each other yet, but I think we're pretty similar in our leadership styles. It seems to me when I look at John, he puts the right people in the right positions and lets them do their job. And that's kind of been my philosophy since I got to the bank. You try to lead by example, jump in and do the same things you're asking everybody else to do,
Right.
and above all, I think, demonstrate to our employees that we mean this when we talk about community first. We're not. It's not just a billboard
Right.
slogan. We want to get in, roll our sleeves up, and be involved.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. It's like you have to really follow what you do in your deed, right? I mean, it has to match. And we talk about that
Sure.
all the time here at Rio, too. But John, what about you?
Well, I would agree with Tom. You know, we've actually only officially been married here for a month, but I think our styles are very similar. You know, I like to see people that want to do a good job and put them in positions that they can do a good job. You know, I learned a long time ago in the service that if you lead by example, people will follow. And I really look forward to all of us working together in the future, because that's one of the reasons that I was so excited about this, because we're compatible.
Right. That's good. That's great to hear. And I think that everything, because of that, everything points to long-term success, because you've started with those fundamental common values and those things that will make challenges easier to solve, and personalities easier to work with. What do you think, back kind of the community banking environment? Do you see that more and more mergers are going to need to happen or will happen to compete with the bigger national banks?
Well, I think they will happen. I don't know that they necessarily need to happen to compete with the larger banks. I think it's more, in our case, maybe the regulatory burden that has pushed us towards that. We compete really favorably with the larger banks with technology. We offer something that they can't, and that's that touch. That, you know, John and I, you can pick up the phone and call us and talk to us.
That's right.
And nobody's going to screen that call, so.
I'll remember that.
Yeah, please do.
No, I think you know, that's something. Again, there's so many parallels to what you're doing and what we do here, because there are, you know, a lot of different organizations in higher ed that are options for students, and everybody has to find, whether it's a bank or a college or university or grocery store, or whatever it is that fits your particular needs and kind of resonates with you as a person. And those are some of the things that you mentioned that are important to us too, is being able to have that kind of special touch that you lose at a different level. It's easy to anyway. So are there any other, I mean, this is a large project in and of itself, just the merger itself. I don't know if you can think beyond that, but are there some larger kind of projects that are in the works or that kind of you have on the horizon?
We're always looking for the future. Part of what got us to where we are today was a conversation that my son, who also works at the bank with me, and I had. And one day I said, okay, where are we going to be 20 years from now? And the more we sat there and talked, the more we decided that, you know, being a small hometown bank, that we probably could stay in the same realm that we were in, sort of do the same thing, kind of have the same results, but it was going to see downhill growth.
Right.
So that's what got us thinking about talking with another bank. And obviously for us, we felt that Ohio Valley was the place to go, because we've known everyone. We've been very friendly competitors for years. They have the same core principles that we had. So, you know, for the next 20 years, I feel very comfortable.
That's good. That's really good news. If you had to give some advice, say you have some friends in community banks that are not necessarily in this area, but they called you and they said, Tom, John, you know, what advice would you give us as we're thinking about a merger? Kind of lessons learned or things that you would encourage them to do?
Maybe we can be consultants.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, that's your future.
You have to get started early. You have to be very thorough. You have to anticipate. Now that we've been through this once, you can anticipate some of the things that you wouldn't have thought about before, and kind of work through those before you ever get to the point that you're going to close the deal.
Right.
We'll be much better at this the next time.
That's right. Well, if customers have questions, we may have some listeners today or viewers that, this is not completely, it's not sinking in quite yet, but they know they're going to have some questions down the road. Where do they, besides calling you guys directly, where can they go to get help or to get some answers?
Well, they can go to ovbc.com/MBC.
Okay.
Or I've got a phone number here, I think, somewhere.
Oh, good.
Let's see if I can put my
Yeah,
finger
I
on
haven't
it.
memorized that phone number
Yeah.
yet.
Okay. 1-800-468-6682.
Okay.
So we'll be glad to answer any questions we can.
Okay, that's really good. Well, it's really exciting to see. I think we use the term merger, but really what you have is you've created this just super integrated partnership. I know technically it's a merger, but we like to talk here a lot about partnerships and the people we work with to benefit our customers, our students, our communities, and it just seems like that's what you've done is just a really shining example of the ability to do that and to stay very focused on the communities here. Because my guess is you have some other options. I mean, some community banks have sold out to larger national chains and things like that. So this was a conscious decision that you made.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's extremely commendable, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. And as a partner, University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College, if there's anything that we can do to help you, would love to have you guys. Maybe we should just make a pact right now that in a year we do this again and see where we are and how
Okay.
you're feeling,
Sure.
and kind of see where things are going. I think it'd be really neat to do that and just kind of touch base and say look back over the last year. So if I'll get you to sign something promising promising your life
We'll
before you leave.
pencil that in.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think it would really be. I think it would be a lot of fun. Well, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to having you here again. And I hope that you will join us. Next week, we have a lot of great programs coming. The Chamber Chat, we'll have the Artisan Market. Valerie Thomas will be talking about that. We'll be also sharing information about the OSU South Center's 25th anniversary. The Exposition Show, Kelsey Kerr will be talking about Irish dancing. I think she's been doing that for over 10 years. The Voice of Rio, Dr. Sachs, our provost, will have Jeannie Gendra. She's the director of our Welsh Center, our Madog Center. And so I think there are some really great programs in store next week. I know I'll tune in. I hope you will too. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.